Let's don't let a good thing die.
She felt like someone was watching her, but as she looks at the cameras, she sees this. A woman named Alicia uploaded a terrifying video where she explains that while she's in her balcony enjoying the evening, she began to feel like someone was watching her. As she decides to look around, she notices something strange hiding in the roof above her. Alicia takes out her phone and tries to see what this thing is and makes a horrifying discovery. Like something from a nightmare, a face with long black hair can be seen peeking above Alicia, staring directly at her. Whatever this is doesn't seem to have any facial features, just a blank face looking at her. Alicia made her way back inside as she has no idea what this is and intends not to find out.
This smell of sulfur or burnt cardboard or ammoniac, it's like this very distinct, potent, putrid smell.
They were very bird-like. They would disappear when you got near them. So I go creeping downstairs and out onto the front porch. It's still standing there, doing this, moving their arms, and I'm trying to figure out what they're doing. And so I step down in the yard, and they're still doing it, moving their arms. Then there's a telepathic message that they're cleansing themselves, that it's waste matter. It was like they were defecating, but they do it through their skin. Years and years and years pass. I pick up the Reddit document, and the first paragraph is that described exactly.
And then we heard about it during the Varginha case.
Just the smells in the Varginha case.
The smells, and that there was slime. They were oily.
Well, they are.
What do you know? The same scent that people say demons smell like. What up, my good people, and welcome back. In this episode right now, we're going to kick back and watch the creepiest TikToks I could find this week. With all that being said, let's go ahead and get into it.
The origins of Freemasonry, I happen to think it's Roman Mithraism. Each has a lodge where you perform rituals with offices on the cardinal points, ritual meal afterwards, you have lodge of instruction down the hall, ritual handshake, etc., etc. And Mithraism was brought to the UK, and that's kind of where Freemasonry sort of was born. I still think they're a massive scapegoat, an organization that has no relevancy other than localized charity. So I think it has an esoteric history.
You're losing time. Our years are shorter than they used to be. The circuit of the sun is shorter than it used to be. It's quickening. So this is why, and this helps to explain why, people who were younger decades ago, if you look at their pictures, they look older than they really were. So like an 18-year-old 50 years ago looks like he's 28. You know what I mean? There's plenty of videos. I have a video all about that. Younger people a long time ago looked older. That's because their years were longer. Our years are shorter. And this is one of the omens of the apocalypse that we should look out for, right? That's why I'm 45. I don't know if you guys could have guessed that. I hope not, but I'm not really 45. It's just that I've gone through 45 cycles of a quickening luminary. You know what I mean? Time is shortening. All right. The length of days is shortening.
Yeah, I get what he's talking about. It definitely feels like time is being sped up. Every time I turn around, it's Monday again.
Why, it's real. You have been given 5 years to get your shit together because they have made their return. What am I talking about? These two pics right here. Shout out to CC is Real for sending me these two pics of them recently showing themselves and making themselves very visible. Listen, the system is over. As above, so below. The bigger the cosmic activity, the bigger the distraction has to be. So if you want to know why you're hearing about P. Diddy and Cassie, Remy Ma and Pat Poose, Tory Lanez and Meg Thee Stallion, is because they have to be able to match the frequency to distract you. Back in 2023, I even recorded a video on my own showing you them popping up out of nowhere, just to remind you, hey, we still here and we're not playing. The takeover is happening. So now you know why the distraction had to be as big as it was 5 years ago, because that's when the return happened. The divine feminine is in full effect, and it ain't going nowhere. It's the takeover.
I'm gonna explain one of the most famous statues in the Vatican. So, this skeleton got his head trapped in a blanket while he was holding his favorite hourglass. So he got a little bit spooked. Then we have a lady here who's given her baby to the guy with a beard to hide him from the skeleton whose head's trapped in the blanket. And there's a girl. Also, somehow this all made of stone.
Yo, what in the world? I am so lost.
Ёпарасоте! Вікна повилітали.
Damn, I thought that was the sun. Not afraid to admit that I was wrong.
Okay, yes, we are staying in a horror-themed Airbnb, but there's actually something pretty weird.
Wait. I hear it again.
Yeah. Okay, so there's this crazy noise outside.
It's definitely louder.
I don't know if it'll pick it up on the video, but there are some dogs in the distance that are going crazy. And this thing has been getting louder and louder for the past, 5 minutes. Okay, that sounds like a person.
That was a woman, no?
Or 2 things at once?
I feel like we should go inside.
Okay. No, yeah, we're actually gonna leave.
Yeah. I think we should go.
No, yeah. That's okay. Update, we're
I got too scared.
yeah,
so
we're
leaving.
we're actually going home.
Probably just a mountain lion or a bobcat, I'm sure.
There's a lot about geology that can be spooky, but I think one of the weirdest phenomena is earthquake lights, which are strange lights that can reportedly show up in the sky near the epicenter of seismic events. The lights, which are also called anomalous luminous phenomena, have been seen both before, during, and after earthquakes. They have been described as looking like flashes of light, flames, floating globes, or just a diffuse glow, and people have been seeing them for centuries. The first reports date back to at least 89 BCE and were largely dismissed as folklore until 1968 when a set of credible photos of earthquake lights were taken by a dentist in Japan. The kicker here is that no one really knows the origin of these mysterious light shows, and scientists aren't even sure they're a genuine natural phenomenon. Many recent sightings have been debunked as flashes from transformer explosions or electrical arcing from power lines, but that doesn't explain sightings that occurred before electrical grids existed, nor those that occur before an earthquake even happens. Some possible explanations include piezoelectricity, triboluminescence, or even ionization of pockets of air in rocks under stress, forming a glowing plasma.
This is why you need a dog. Melanie is home alone, lying on her bed, when her dog begins acting very strangely. She turns on her camera and captures this.
Bruh. Oh my god.
Sensing a threat, you can literally see the hair on the dog's back stand up. But it soon gets even creepier. Watch closely.
Alright, let's get straight to it. It says U.S. engineers create self-healing robot skin that repairs and resets itself without human help. What are we doing? Alright, right here it says U.S. engineers create self-healing robot skin that repairs and resets itself without human help. Researchers at the Stanford University have developed a new type of self-healing synthetic skin that can sense damage, realign itself, and repair automatically without the need for human intervention. Published in Science, the material mimics the elasticity and resilience of human skin using dynamic covalent bonds to restore both mechanical strength and functionality after being cut or torn. This breakthrough could lead to more durable and adaptable robots, prosthetics, and wearable devices, making them safer and longer lasting.
Man, they got all this, but yet they claim they don't have a cure for cancer yet. Like, what?
Every single holiday that we celebrate is celebrating one of the 7 deadly sins. Valentine's Day represents lust. Thanksgiving, that celebrates the sin of gluttony.
Gluttony, yeah, because you're eating.
Because you're eating a lot. You're overeating. You're Christmas. What do you think that is?
Christmas. Greed?
Greed,
Yeah.
overconsumption, and excess.
Okay, okay.
Right? Wanting more of something.
That makes
We're
sense.
celebrating gifts. We're celebrating gifts. We're not really even celebrating like the birth of Christ because people are so focused on the gifts and shit. Easter. This one's interesting. They say it's envy because the Romans were jealous of Jesus, so they murdered him.
Oh,
It's crazy.
shit.
So St. Patrick's Day, it's sloth
Why?
because people get blacked out drunk.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah. Now Halloween is what? It's wrath. So
Okay.
scaring and hurting people for fun. With masks, it's wrath.
Oh.
The sin of pride.
Okay, what's that? Oh,
Nah, we're not even gonna say that, but
he was driving through a sketchy area in Mexico when he sees this. An Uber driver named Rolando Brayo explains that while he was on his way to pick up a client, he noticed through a sketchy, dangerous road a strange figure that doesn't seem human standing in the distance. The man knows strange things often happen here and decides to take a picture as he drove by to see what it is and makes a haunting discovery.
Corre por parte de Rolando Brayo y nos comenta que ella es Uber y pues anda a muy altas horas de la noche trabajando y que en una ocasión pasó por un barrio de la Ciudad de México y llamó mucho la atención algo que vio a lo lejos y tomó esta fotografía y pues nos las manda. Y pues yo alcanzo a ver que es como una mujer, se le ve el cabello largo con un vestido sin piernas como si fuera flotando y como si llevara algo en la mano.
Like something from a horror movie, he sees this horrifying figure, what seems like a woman, standing by a building, holding something up in her hand. Now, this could be chalked up as a woman in a blurry frame, but the absence of a shadow and how it's simply levitating with no visible legs has Rolando quite shaken, convinced what he saw that night wasn't human.
Man, I bet you that's someone in a costume. But still, if I seen that while walking on the street at night, I'd be like, huh.
When I gave birth to my son, he was like, you know that we have these beliefs. So when he told me that, in my head, I was like, well, it's just a baptism.
This is a satanic temple.
Yes, they have a Bible. It literally looks like a church, but it's completely satanic.
Your story's crazy.
My son, he was very slow. My son didn't even cry. He kept looking at my son. He was like, is your son like prayed for or something? I see him in a cage. It looks like it's protection, but he's in bondage. Wow. And I'm like, well, you know, I baptized him in a satanic place. And he was like, oh my God, what did you do?
You was on the devil's playground. Baptized your kid in the satanic temple, putting the rituals on his neck. Then you're starting to listen to this baker who's telling you about Jesus. Did you feel the spiritual attacks come?
Oh, heavy. I got thrown in the realms of the warfare.
Could you imagine being born in a satanic church? Man, that must suck.
This creepy video is going viral right now, and it comes from Shiloh Hill. I'll tag him below. And it all started when Shiloh found a marketplace for shoes on the dark web. But as he began to scroll, he noticed that it wasn't like other marketplaces, because each shoe had a person's name, an age, and a price. And the website itself was titled The Shoeman, Keeper of Souls. And it should be noted that on the dark web, they don't have a Google. It's like trying to explore a city in pitch black darkness. Regardless, Shiloh knows his way around the dark web, and he went ahead and found a pair of shoes that would fit him and ordered them. And they were named Waylon, age 29, size 13, and they were covered in what looks to be blood. Now he's adamant that likely this is all a scam, but the theories in the comments section were wild. And to make matters even more strange, on the purchase page, there was a rental link. Now some believe that he'll receive some sort of snuff film, while others think this is just stolen property off of bodies that are no longer with us. Now he's already received confirmed shipment.
All of these buildings all around here, as I told in class last night, they're ours, they belong to us. They're ancient, these buildings. There's a whole city underneath this city. They've went and burned all the major cities, the major energy centers. Our ancestors set up these energy centers that we call Philadelphia, New York, Boston, Atlanta, Detroit, right? Chicago, Miami, Los Angeles. They are energy centers. They're not where they are in huge, large cities just because of some coincidence. There's energy and power in these places. London, Rio de Janeiro.
feeling everything right there. See that hallway and see that spot on the floor? I don't know what that spot on the floor is, but it's showing me things. I'm seeing someone laying face down. I'm seeing someone murdered there. It feels like the owners of this house, maybe the first, I don't know, I don't want to pinpoint someone incorrectly, but were owners of this house. They fled out of the country. They know what happened and they did something with the body. Now, is there a police report? Does nobody know what happened? I don't know. I don't know why nobody knows and has no idea that that happened in that house. It is not haunted. Person is not still in that home, haunting the home. The home is creepy looking and creepy feeling, but it's not haunted, but something bad happened there. Somebody was removed.
For sure, that house looks like it was once a crime scene. If someone offered you $5,000 to sleep there alone for one night, would you do it?
What type of demonic shit is Ronald? What in heaven? Oh my God.
This is one of the most scariest videos in Mexico. It's called The Hospital Ghost. This video starts off lighthearted. Two doctors joking around, one behind the camera flirting with a female co-worker who makes a sexual joke and she laughs it off. But right behind her, in the background through a small window on a door, something unsettling happens. A dark figure, dressed completely in black, rushes past the door, almost like it's running. The man filming immediately freezes. "No way," he whispers, clearly shaken. He walks toward the door, following the figure down a short hallway that leads to only one place, the operating room. When he opens the door, there's no one inside. The room is completely empty. Then, out of nowhere, a rolling table slowly begins to move on its own, gliding across the floor, as if being pushed by something invisible. The man catches it all on camera before quickly backing out. They both leave in a panic. No one ever figured out who or what that figure was, but some believe it was death itself, running to claim another soul. Others say it was the spirit of a patient who died on that table, still searching for the body it once belonged to.
How dangerous is a nuclear submarine?
The submarines are completely stealth beyond stealth. You cannot find them in the sea. I interviewed the former commander of the nuclear subforces, a guy called Admiral Connor, and I said, like, how hard is it to find a nuclear armed sub? And he said, it's easier to find a grapefruit-sized object in space than a nuclear sub under the sea. I have a map that shows you how close they come to the east coast and the west coast of the United States, which means it reduces that launch time of 26 minutes 40 seconds down to 10 minutes or less.
This is one of the craziest urban legends I've ever heard, and it ended up being true. So almost 100 years ago, there was an aquarium in Australia that had a giant tiger shark on display. And the legend goes that one day, in front of like groups of families, the shark threw up a human arm. And not only is that true, but it opened a murder investigation. So after the shark threw up the human arm, the police had to figure out whose it was and why it was in the shark's belly. Well, the first thing the police noticed was the arm was cut cleanly, not jagged like it was from a shark bite, meaning that the arm was intentionally cut. So now it's clear that this was a murder, but whose arm is it? Well, one thing they noticed is that the arm has two boxers in a fighting stance tattooed on it. So they end up writing about that in the paper, and one guy who was reading it goes, "Hey, that sounds like my brother's tattoo." His brother was a man named Jim Smith, and he was involved in the seedy underbelly of Sydney society. Jimmy ran insurance fraud scams in Sydney, and he was just involved with a lot of bad people. And the last person he was seen with was one of Sydney's most notorious criminals. The story has a lot of twists, including how was he involved with the last guy he was seen with.
I listened to a podcast a few years back talking about this. Definitely very interesting.
Have you ever seen anything that looked really suspicious?
You might be at this concert chilling, and the big Illuminati boss might be standing right next to you out of nowhere. If I want to go this way, I can do it right now.
I was with Dave Chappelle. Introduced me to somebody.
The question
and they
is
took me
get
to a
you,
room.
get your ass
There
in
you go.
See?
They took me to a room and there was candles.
They can't fight the boogeyman, but if you say a name, they can fight that family.
But I was offered something and I just wasn't with it. But when they said, good luck, young man, you're on your own. And I never went platinum since.
What was hidden was greater, forbidden knowledge. The ancient world fair called the New Dawn. If you, dear follower, do not know what the New Dawn exhibition or the World Exhibition is, I will tell you about it. It is a very old exhibition, as the exhibition was established 300 years ago. It is a traveling exhibition every year in a different country. It was a global event such as the World Football Championship and international competitions, but in science only, and it was all his mother brings out her discovered knowledge to the public and people, scientists, and the press come and watch it. Then the First and Second World War broke out, and almost everything disappeared, and each nation began to hide its knowledge from the other nation.
What if the U.S. military secretly sprayed chemicals over American cities, just to see what would happen? That's exactly what went down during Operation LAC, large area coverage in the 1950s. Without telling the public, the U.S. Army released a chemical called zinc cadmium sulfide into the air over cities like St. Louis and Minneapolis. The goal? To test how far and wide biological or chemical weapons might spread in case of a real attack. Planes and vehicles sprayed the substance into neighborhoods, schools, and homes, while families had no idea they were part of a giant experiment. The military claimed the chemical was harmless, but later reports questioned its safety, especially since cadmium is a known toxic metal. For decades, the government kept the operation classified, and many people didn't learn they had been exposed until years later. Operation LAC remains one of the most controversial examples of human testing without consent, and it left a lasting scar on the trust between citizens and their government.
Yeah, they were doing it back in the 50s, but they're still doing it today. They don't want us having any fresh air. They're like, sit down, lab rats.
Sir, Travis Scott.
Yeah.
That was a huge ritual.
But that
right
ritual,
there.
I mean, the stage looked like something out of Hieronymus Bosch.
That was a portal.
Because it looked like a devil's mouth or something, and people were... So that wasn't just a coincidence, because they tried to poo-poo all the criticism, and they said, no, it was just... provocative imagery, but
no, the people that, people like me that we come from that, we knew that was a whole ritual right there. Because I believe he got the power through Satanism and through this type of things. So for him to go to the next level, you have to do something. You have to do some sort of sacrifice. That was a huge thing right there that he did. The platform was a portal. The things, the sounds that they were playing when that was happening, they are really low sounds that open in the spiritual realm portals of death and portals for these demons to enter. So what was happening there, it was a sacrifice, a human sacrifice.
Because people died at this concert.
Oh, loads of people.
Leave. Stop. You gotta go. Shh. Calm down. What are you? Stop.
Oh, hell no.
Charlie, come on. I don't even know how to explain what I'm seeing. Holy hell. No, this is crazy. Did you hear this last night? It was going last night. Now, Charlie, come here. I guarantee it's going to keep on. It'll do it again.
Next time he opens that sliding door, he might want to have some holy water.
I know of clones being made in the projects. What could you elaborate on that and your experience with clones, Randy and Jim?
Sure. A clone is basically just a copy. It's essentially a soulless copy of a person. My understanding is that there is a requirement that is the tiniest fraction of that person's soul that has to be attached to the physical body so that the cells duplicate beyond 32 or 64 or what it is. So there's a limitation. They won't grow past that if there isn't some piece of a soul in there. But because it's just a teeny little sliver, they don't really have one. And so they're not considered a person. They're not legally considered a person because they're not a soul inside them. So they tend to be not very bright. They tend to be very undisciplined. They can be very difficult to train if you're trying to train a clone to actually fight. That's why we ended up abandoning clone armies, because they're a horrible idea. But a clone is basically just a copy. Now, if in my case, this is not my original body has been destroyed, and because it was beat up and bruised and old so many times that they had to give me a young one and put me back. So this is a clone body, but I'm not a clone because as soon as they put my soul into the body, it's now a person.
When you start out as a Mason, you come to the lodge, they make you take off all your clothes except your undies. They put you in this, like, jammy. The one knee is bare and one breast is bare. And you're blindfolded. You have a cable around your neck. They call it a cable tow. It's like a velvet blue rope. And you're tied up and you're led to the door of the lodge. And you've got a guy leading you, because of course you're blindfolded, and he knocks on the door, and somebody on, this is all ritualized. The guy on the other side says, "Who comes here?" And your guy who's guiding you, who's a lodge officer, he says, "Mr. Bill Snevlin, who has been long in darkness and now seeks to be brought to light, to receive the rights and benefits of the worshipful lodge, erected to God as all members have done before." And I asked Mr. Christian, Mr. Pastor, Mr. Elder, because there's, like it used to be, I don't know if it still is, it used to be 40% of the pastors in a Southern Baptist convention were Freemasons. How can you say that you're in darkness when you have Jesus in your heart? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's not it. You're led around, like they call it circumambulation. You walk around the lodge. They have these officers, the junior warden, the senior warden at the different, things of the compass. East is the worshipful master, who's like the big cheese. Then you're made to kneel at this altar. Again, you're still blindfolded. You're made to understand that you're putting your hands on this huge, it's like a pulpit Bible, big King James Bible. And this guy comes forward, this worshipful master, and he says, we're going to lead you through this oath. And I'm not going to go through the whole oath, because it takes like 5 minutes, but it's this long, involved, and ultimately blood-curdling oath.
Now I think we've all seen this scary ass photo from Travis Scott and Michelle Lamey. They look literally lifeless. I was like, who's Michelle Lamey? What is the big fuss about her? Well, she's literally the scariest person on the earth. The Hollywood witch. She's been called this like her whole entire career. The dark empress, a witch. Can you blame people? Like, look at her hands. I don't know if this is like significant for a reason. Looked up to see if that thing on her forehead was like for spiritual reasons. Literally just for her style. She was asked if she believes in a god. She said, "I don't know what a God is. I believe in DNA. I believe that genes have memory." Then she goes on to say this whole thing, but the last sentence really puts it in place, and thinking that people can behave like incredible human beings without the help of a god. That's what I believe in. Knowing all of this information, and 99.9% believe that he has definitely sold his soul, because this is another photo, and look at all these orbs. That is not just one dusty room. That's really scary. So I found this picture. I don't know what he's doing in it. I mean, she looks definitely scary in it. If anyone else has any other information, please share with the class, because what?
Looks like she really got that man under her spell, doesn't she? I put a spell on you, and now you're mine.